Good morning, Kendra. How are you doing today? I can't wait for you to get back. Today I'm going to read or do your making meaning, and the story is going to be Paperboy. Today we are going to hear and discuss a new story, visualize a character in the story, connect mental images to the story, and then read independently. I am not going to show the cover of the Paperboy. Instead, I'm going to show you the title page. I'm going to read you the title. It's called Paperboy by Dav Pilkey. Did you see that beautiful picture? I can just imagine this being a real place. Okay. I'm going to read aloud the Paperboy and have you visualize it. When you looked at the title page, did you see right in there the newspaper? The guys, looks like they're delivering or loading the newspapers. See the truck? You can visualize a lot just by looking at this picture. I just love the paintings. And the author, Dav Pilkey, he did the writing and the drawings, illustrations. The mornings of the Paperboy are still dark, and they are always cold, even in the summer. And on these cold mornings, the Paperboy's bed is still warm, and it is always hard to get out, even for his dog. Can you visualize right now the little boy laying in bed and his dog with him? I can. I want to reread that. The mornings of the Paperboy are still dark, and they are always cold, even in the summer. And on these cold mornings, the Paperboy's bed is still warm, and it is always hard to get out, even for the dog. What did you see in your mind when you heard this part of the story? You can just think your answer, say it out loud, or just keep it in your head. Which words or phrases helped you create that mental image? So the very last part of this page said, "It is always hard to get out, even for his dog, but they do." And softly they stepped down the quiet hall, past the door where the Paperboy's father and mother are sleeping, past the door where his sister is asleep, and down to the kitchen where they eat from their bowls. What did you see in your mind when you heard that part of the story? They eat from their bowls. Did you picture them both sitting at the table, eating from a bowl? I didn't. I visualized the boy sitting at the table, eating probably some cereal or oatmeal, and maybe the dog down on his little carpet with his bowl, eating the food that he eats for him. And out to the garage where they quickly fold their papers, snapping on green rubber bands, placing them in a large red bag. It's hard to ride a bike when you are loaded down with newspapers, but the Paperboy has learned how to do this, and he is good at it. Loaded down. Did you hear that phrase? Loaded down. I can relate. A text to self for me would be, when I can relate to what the words in this book were to something that really happened to me. This weekend I went to the grocery store, and I only go once a week, but we needed some really heavy things this weekend. We needed some things for the house and some Christmas tree decorations and other things, and my cart was loaded down to the point where I just stopped shopping. It was so heavy, and it just was hard to push. So carrying something heavy is loaded down. The paper boy knows his route by heart, so he doesn't ever think about which house to pedal to. Some people say route, some people says route. I say both. It's a path to travel when you're delivering something. So when the bus driver drives down his bus route, it's where he picks up the kids or delivers them to school or drops them off at home. Instead, he is thinking about other things, big things, and small things. And sometimes he's thinking about nothing at all. His dog, too, knows this route by heart. He knows which trees are for sniffing. He knows which bird baths are for drinking, which squirrels are for chasing, and which cats are for growling at. Bird baths are wide, shallow bowls filled with water for birds to wash in. You might have a bird bath in your yard. What did you see in your mind when you heard this part of the story? Could you imagine the dog sniffing the trees and chasing the squirrels and drinking out of the bird baths? I bet that dog is having a good old time while his owner is delivering papers. All the world is asleep except for the paper boy and his dog, and this is the time when they are the happiest. Why do you think that they are the happiest at this time? I think they're happy because it's quiet. It's probably gorgeous out there with the sky, the sun coming up, the sleepy sun, and all the colors that you can see in the sky. And the paper boy is just peaceful, and his dog just running around happy. But little by little, the world around them wakes up. The stars and moon fade away, and the skies become orange and pink. Fade away means slowly disappears. When the paper boy has delivered his last newspaper, he and his dog race home, and his empty red bag flaps behind him in the cold morning air. What did you see in your mind when you heard his empty red bag flaps behind him in the cold morning air? Soon they are back home. It is still dark inside, but the sounds of morning are all around. His father and mother are awake, talking softly in their bed, and his sister's downstairs watching Saturday morning cartoons. Back inside his own room, the paper boy pulls down his shade and crawls back into his bed, which is still warm. And while all the world is waking up, the paper boy is going back to sleep, and his dog is sleeping too. Their work is done. And now is the time for dreaming. What are some of the things the paper boy does to get ready to deliver his newspapers? Do you remember that they fold it and it said that the rubber bands are snapping, and he loads them in his red bag? What does the paper boy's dog do? What did you learn today? Did you learn how to visualize and how to that you could still create images without actually seeing images from the drawings and the paintings? That's using your mind and really creating what you're hearing. I'm going to go ahead and let you just read silently. Just grab one of your favorite books, cozy up on this cold day, and read for about 20 minutes. See if you can visualize like we did today in this story. I'll see you later. Bye, Kendra.